but what I'm about to read to you is it's the most shocking, the saddest, the most horrific of all the reports. It's report number 54. And unbelievably, Barbara Garrett, MD, Joseph Garrett, MD, Chris Flowers, MD, and Lori Britt, 4 of our distinguished volunteers for the War Room Daily Cloud Pfizer Documents Research Analysis team, found that infants and children under 12 were given the Pfizer mRNA COVID quote-unquote vaccine 7 months before pediatric approval, and 71% of those kids suffered serious adverse events. If that's not shocking enough, these adverse events occurred on only a 3-month period starting on December 1st, 2020, and at a time when no pediatric dose of the Pfizer product was approved for use at all in that time frame. Nonetheless, they illegally injected 61 children, half of them under 4 years old, with this injection. And the doctors and the volunteer asked the question, what dose of Pfizer's mRNA vaccine was given to these children, since no approved dose existed at that time? So important points in this report. A 7-year-old child experienced a stroke. 2 children suffered facial paralysis. 1 infant had a kidney adverse event, either kidney injury or kidney failure. Of the 34 cases, 24 or 71% were classified as serious. Predominantly female patients were affected here too. 27 little girls or baby girls of 34 adverse event patients, and that's almost 80%. Table 6 reports 34 cases of use in pediatric individuals, but an additional 28 cases were excluded. These are bad things, adverse events that happened unlawfully to children. 28 additional cases were excluded because details such as height and weight were, quote, not consistent with pediatric subjects. In other words, for nonsensical reasons, they ruled out almost double that number of kids who had something horrible happen to them. Ages ranged, I hope you can process this, everyone. Ages ranged from 2 months to 9 years, with median 4 years, which means half the children were under 4 years of age. 132 adverse events were reported in the 34 children. That is an average of 3.88 adverse events per child. In other words, not just facial paralysis, not just a stroke, not just some other horrible thing, an average of almost 4 horrible things. And these children, half of them were under 4 years old. One was a 2-month-old infant. They injected this material in an infant starting in December 1st, 2020, when there was no approval for children. No law allowed children to be injected with this. There was no safe dose. They just injected the children and tiny babies, newborn babies practically. And this is what I have to share with you today. And it's called Report 54, Infants and Children under 12 given the Pfizer mRNA COVID vaccine 7 months before pediatric approval. 71% suffered serious adverse events, and it's just live on dailycloud.io. I just sent it to Cameron. This, I don't even have words to describe this. These people are absolute monsters.
I want to have you on. We're going to figure a schedule out. We got to have you on tomorrow to go even more in detail. Just last question, and we got to bounce. But this information, this is what boggles my mind, because they say, "Hey, we're the arsonists. We're trying to burn down the institutions." Did the FDA? Are you absolutely sure the FDA and the CDC had access to this information? That now it's 2023. The information you're talking about is from late 20, early 21. Did the FDA and the CDC have access to this information, ma'am?
Totally. The FDA had every single page. The FDA had every one of these documents, including this document 5.3.6 cumulative analysis. It's theirs. Why do you think that now we know, right? Now we know why the FDA asked the court to keep this hidden for 75 years, because they gave a 7-year-old a stroke with a random, dose of this experimental injection. There was no safe dose for it. There was no law that allowed them to do it. They took 61 kids. Half of them had adverse events. Half of them were under 4. And one was a 2-month-old baby. And I mean, and these kids averaged 4 horrible things happening to them. So yeah, and also why are they suddenly saying the emergency is over? They know this is in there. They know this is in there. The White House knows this is in there, right? The chief of staff knows this is in there. That Rochelle Walensky knows this is in there. The people who probably don't know this is in there is the approval committee, because they're not shown anything. But all of the agencies, FDA, CDC, the White House know they did this to the children. And then they rolled it out 7 months later on your kids.